That being said, we do have a quorum, so I'm going to turn everybody's mics on and start recording, just so you're aware.
Till 8:32. Okay.
Okay.
No, my personal one's not on the list.
The little lasagna garden? Dog. Yeah, we have plenty. Come on by. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Okay, I got it. Yeah, we've got some. We'll have more today. Yeah, we have. Okay. Yeah, we almost always have
Should check.
a bunch of it. Yeah. Well, now we have more than we used to because of town sale too. So. Yeah. Oh, okay. I just realized that it's February. We're coming up to February, so you will start coming in for that stuff. Yeah. Yeah. You still want the other one?
No.
Yes, you are.
Hi. And
Morning.
has Deb checked in?
No, we're trying to make sure that
There you go.
the link works. Sometimes we have issues with it, but. All right, let's go ahead and start. Just bring it in.
Wherever it's comfortable.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the January 21st Park and Tree Committee meeting. So let's call this meeting to order. And if everybody would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, Angela will do the roll call.
Member Bechtel,
Present.
Member Tucker,
Present.
Member Patton,
Here.
Member Northern, I think she might be trying, Member Jones.
Here.
Member Swanson.
Here.
We are all, well, we have 1 absent and 5 present.
Okay, we have a quorum. Time reports. Anybody have?
I have a comment about that. So I gave you guys all copies of the form that we normally fill out. If we can try to start filling those out, so I have some more consistency. I have to send those in to the Tree City USA when I have to report, and having a bunch of handwritten, so makes it difficult to keep it all reported. So if we can start, even if it's just individual time, if we can start using those and bring them to me, yeah, I would greatly appreciate it.
We can do that. So for those of us that are going to move on to planting trees afterwards, I'll make sure we have one of these to fill out. Angela, you might have to help me. So Wally and I went and picked up trees a couple times in November and December. I thought we emailed you.
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Just moving forward.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Moving on. Our minutes from November 19th. Remember, we had a big storm, so our December meeting was canceled. So folks can peruse the November meeting minutes. You remember that was a pretty robust meeting. We had Rich Little come and talk about Emerald Ash Borer. And we kind of did some prep for thinking about priorities, which is our task today. All right, everybody's had a chance.
I move that we approve them, the
Aye.
minutes.
I'll second that.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we have approved meeting minutes from November. And do we have any public comment either here or online?
Not at this time.
Candy is here for beautification committee. Welcome.
Hi.
How's your winter?
Cold. Let's see. I was just going to say that we completed the lollipop pots for the Christmas season and the holiday season, and I've listed everything that we did, but I just read the last part. We completed it with 12.75 volunteer hours, and I was reimbursed for $115 for glue and added decorations. The lollipops were collected by Public Works on January 6th and are stored in the old warehouse on 9th Avenue. No, Pleasant Valley. Oh, okay, Pleasant Valley. I stand corrected. And there were only two that were lopped off at the top. Nobody stole any because they were really embedded in that concrete. So anyway, that was a good thing. And I think everybody enjoyed them. And then I'm going to be ordering flowers in mid-February. And I talked with Cecily. There's $8,000 in the budget. Last year we used about 5,000 or 6,000. And we're going to go with the red, white, and blue. The fish that the high school are making, they need to be installed before we do our planting, which will be on May 19th, will be the median planting. So, and I talked with Dominic and he said that they will do that. And I think they're going to put concrete for those too, so people won't try to steal them. So that's all I have.
So you said the fish will be planted before our May 9th, or the fish will be planted. The fish will be installed before we plant the flowers on May 19th.
Right. And I have no contact with the high school. I don't know who's the contact for
Yeah,
that.
so we're picking them up this Friday.
Oh.
And depending on weather, hopefully within a month or so, we'll have that figured out and in the meeting.
Excellent. That'll be fun.
Yeah.
Any questions? Beautification? Any?
Just want to say I thought the flower pots looked really nice along Main Street. Maybe next year we could paint them either like a silver or gold reflective, just to bling them up a little bit. I thought they were really nice. It was a good touch.
Thought they look great, and I didn't obviously stare at each one every day, but in terms of damage, they held up. So, yeah. Good job. Do you need any help between now and next couple months?
We're gonna start meeting again we're actually going to start weeding in March, last Tuesday of March, and meeting, either March or April, we're going to start meeting again. I just got to make sure I order the flowers. They're very particular about getting those orders in on time.
Okay.
I order them from Bauman's Farms in Woodburn.
Okay.
So Candy, those flower pots, you can use them throughout the year though. You can take the lollipops out, or is it they're secure now with a lollipop? Because they used to put flowers in them, top and bottom.
Yeah, I don't know. I hadn't even thought about that.
Okay.
The concrete, they're in the concrete paint pot, so they could be taken out, but then they're also they put pea gravel in around those. They're very, very heavy. I just don't know that we have the number of volunteers to do that.
I understand.
You know.
I just remember there used to be flowers in them, different places.
Mhm.
The challenge with flowers in those pots is the watering. So,
Yeah, they got well watered during December. It was no problem. The greenery stayed green.
And it seems to me that we've tried various things like having businesses kind of be the keeper of their flower pot or their display. So, something to think about. Adopt a flower pot. Or
There you go.
something
That's a
like
good
that.
idea.
So maybe something for a spring conversation when folks are maybe getting a little more excited about planting flowers. I'm excited all year. That's okay. All right. Well, we should move on to our old business. And the first topic is our Arbor Day event, Bloom and Brews and no, we're not celebrating 250 years in April. That's
not in April.
okay. I don't want to get them confused.
Yeah.
So
So
we had a sneak peek, but now you're gonna.
yeah, so you guys got a copy of the flyer. We haven't put them up yet because we're still working out logistics. The Park and Tree Committee will still plan your Arbor Day portion just like you always have. So the Arbor Day, your booth and the celebration is going to be a part of it.
Okay.
We will still have to do the proclamation. We will still be doing all of that. Your Arbor Day booth will just be a part of the whole celebration for the day. And as we get a little bit closer to getting some of the logistics figured out, we'll let you guys know how we're doing that. We're still kind of working on how we're going to lay everything out and what we're going to do. But the Arbor Day is still a focus of it. And then Blooms and Brews is just going to be an extra part of it.
So it's basically going to grow a little bit from last year. If you remember last year, we had a couple of different education vendor booths and lots of people came out.
So if you have vendors that are interested, have them get a hold of us. Just because we're trying to make sure that it stays within the theme of, the Arbor Day Blooms and Brews. And so we're not going to have just random vendors for this. This is going to be specifically
focus.
focused.
Mhm.
Yeah. So if you have vendors interested, they need to contact myself or Cecily, and then we can go through it. But other than that, it's the same day. Well, relatively the same time of year. And like I said, we wanted to make sure to give you guys a flyer so you had a little bit more information. And as soon as we are a little bit farther in the process, we'll start posting all of that. I think we posted one that says save the date, didn't we? Yes.
Okay. I do like the logo. That's good. So part of the Arbor Day celebration is obviously planting trees, but because our springs and summers are so dry, it's better to plant our trees in the winter where they get rain, although, when was the last time it rained? So anyway, we're going to plant the trees today. We've got 3 to go out at Sankey. And so kind of like last year, we kind of gathered around the trees that we had planted early in the winter and talked about trees and did our official Arbor Day thing. So, and if Scott, if you come out and grab some pictures today, if you can't, I'll take pictures. Just
Yeah. Just send
I'll
it.
be there.
okay.
Yeah. And I talked to the Tree City USA people about that, and they said that's fine. We don't have to do it on the day. And they said, yeah, that's fairly typical that people do that just because
Based on planting conditions.
and they had no problem with that as long as we document it and then we do the proclamation
Yeah.
when we held our Arbor Day celebration. They were just fine with that.
Okay, fantastic. Well, that'll be exciting. That'll be, as always, a nice way to kind of kick off our year or our season. How's that? Okay, Sankey Park Phase 3.
We were approved for the extension, which is good. And our goal is to be done by the end of June. We are in the process right now of drafting the contracts for construction. And as soon as that is done, and well, weather's been great, but by the time we get that done, weather will probably turn. But weather permitting, we will get started on that. So you'll start seeing some construction work being done in the park, hopefully in the next few months. So
And where are they starting first with the trail, basically the trail system or?
I don't know which one.
Oh, okay.
So it's going to be a simultaneous thing, and obviously the lower part of the trail is going to be adjacent to the bandstand, so we'll have to time that out. But as of right now, I can't tell you specifically.
Okay. I look forward to that, and we should be kind of fun to have a, I don't know, breaking ground type of feature maybe.
There will be a celebration when it's done.
Yeah.
Well, we're hoping. We're hoping it coincides at the same time with the 4th of July.
Yeah,
Celebration,
that would be
so.
fun. But maybe a little, we can do some documentation or a story or something about breaking ground and kind of get folks excited for,
Yeah, we did that with the playground.
yeah.
We did the groundbreaking with the playground. So yeah, we could,
Okay.
as soon as we find out when start of construction, then we can get that planned.
Sounds good. Anything else for old business, folks?
We're keeping the bridge closed until after all the construction.
Probably keeping the bridge closed unless we have events.
Okay.
So just to reduce the amount of destruction that
Yeah.
happens on it. So, and vandalism.
Has there been further vandalism or damage since we've closed it? Moving on to new business and the work that we have to. Today.
So I decided to do it this way so we could all just
Yay.
right as we go. Oh, where's the marker? But I have to use a microphone. So that it can be recorded. All right, so you all should have the priorities that were sent to me prior to December. I have not received any since December. So what we need to do is just go through the list. Anything else you guys want to add, we'll throw that on the brainstorming and then we'll move it over to what our actual priorities are. The priorities are what we'll present to the city council, or we'll give them a list with the city council. So we don't probably need to write down anything that's on here. So Sankey Park Phase 3, if you look at the city priorities, we're hoping to have that done in this fiscal year. I put it on there just in case it runs over. Obviously, we're weather dependent on when it comes to construction. So there's a chance that it could spill over. We're crossing our fingers it doesn't. So I added that to the city priorities as a just in case. Strawberry Park, we are working on some stuff. So that's a city priority. We will be moving our focus from Sankey Park and moving into Strawberry Park. That actually years ago, Strawberry Park was a focus and we did some outreach with the neighborhoods there. So that will be on there. Weddell Bridge, obviously. We are waiting for a historic designation. Cecily did put in an application for that. So we're waiting to find out about that. And then park maintenance, much like what the beautification does, we would like to see the Park and Tree Committee start doing, like Cecily and I went out last year and we weeded the flagpole in Sankey Park, did some flowers, did that type of thing. So we would like to see the Park and Tree Committee do more than just ivy, start maintaining some of the parks a little bit more, a lot like the beautification does. So those are some things that we brought up on our list. Obviously, Member Swanson has Quarry Park, Recreation, Splash Pad, East Side Park, and then Trail Systems. Member Tucker has finished Thank You Trails, the Tree City USA requirements. That's actually this fiscal year, but we can, make sure you're keeping track for next fiscal year. Update the approved list, the Emerald Ash Borer, that will be a priority. We'll have to sit down and figure out how we want to do that this year. Weddell Bridge, and then routine street and park maintenance. And then Wally put complete phase 3 and install something basic at 42nd. I can tell you 42nd is on permanent hold. So just funding wise, we will maintain it since the trees were removed, and we'll maintain that. But right now it's kind of on permanent hold. So just as a priority list. So is there anything else aside from what's on this list that we want to kind of discuss?
As it's probably pretty obvious, mine were more just sort of philosophical goals, maybe, instead of just specifics.
Mhm.
For the most part.
So is Quarry Park, is it on hold also?
Quarry Park is going to take a little bit more planning. The biggest hurdle with Quarry Park is access. And so there's still planning involved. There's still things happening there, but our biggest hurdle is access to that. So.
If there were access from Tamarack or 18th Avenue, would that be a plus? I mean, what kind of Zykova is obviously
Well,
one.
there's a whole design and there's access that has been planned. It's just not we can't. You go down Zelkova, so you go Clark Mill. We can't have a lot of traffic coming through that way. There's really right now there's no access. Really good access. The planned access would be through the old mill property, and we just haven't gotten to that point for planning purposes yet.
Yeah, I vaguely remember that from way back, but yeah.
The other issue is utilities, power, water, sewer.
Yeah.
That's going to be very, very, very expensive to bring that in. And so we're very limited on what we can do. I'm sure the county isn't approving vault toilets anymore, which is why we got the new RV dump station here. So we'd have to get water and sewer in there, and that would be a pretty high cost.
Unless I'm missing it. So at Northside Park years ago, we talked about putting handicap down and also steps and things like that. So maybe it's in here. Did I miss it?
I don't think so.
No, but we did have a focused list for
We
Northside
did.
a couple years ago. Yeah, I remember that. And then when we were out there pulling ivy, we had looked at and the challenge is an engineering challenge to get the right grade going from the park up top down to the river.
The riparian and river zone is going to take some permitting, and
Yeah,
I think with the length that the ramp is going to have to be, we're going to encroach on that 50-foot buffer.
Yeah, I remember even talking about boats. People could get out, not boats, but canoes and stuff. They could get out there. That could be an access for people. And right now, I don't see how they could do it. So, but again, that was from several years ago. We talked about that.
Another challenge with Northside, besides what Dominic brought up with the riparian zone, is that it comes around a corner there, and so it erodes. And so there would have to be some sort of erosion plan to keep that from the river from taking out more. I've been working in that park for years, used to do salmon watch there, and it's getting less. The bank is getting farther and farther back. So that would also have to be part of the plan because you don't want people getting down there and then it disappears. So that's besides riparian zone, that's another issue with that. So, which is unfortunate, but that's the way water goes. So. Okay, so I kind of just briefly wrote kind of what was on here, and then I added the north side.
And I think, Scott, years ago, we talked about the splash pad. It was covered up because of, insurance and et cetera.
Yeah, so we dove into that quite a bit last year. Made phone calls to Bend, they and Albany, who have the newest splash pads kind of in our area. And the costs associated with that is really, really high. One of the interesting things that you don't think about right at the front of your brain when you think about a splash pad is the filtration or the chemicals. Hand, foot, and mouth disease spreads really easily in splash pads, and so does E. coli. So you have to have almost a more robust filtration system than a pool, and the costs associated with that are extremely high. Albany, when they opened theirs, it was only open for like 4 days before they had to close down and make additional modifications for another couple months. So it's a very, very expensive undertaking.
You don't remember how many millions of dollars it was, do you?
It was multiple.
Yeah,
It was a lot.
astronomical.
It was absolutely astronomical. And then the millions of dollars of construction was the cheap part. The ongoing, the electricity, the chemicals, the filtration, it was very expensive to maintain as well.
I know that walkway along the river in Corvallis, they have one too, but it's, Corvallis is financially a lot different.
Yeah, and theirs is a little bit different because theirs uses so much less water that it's not a captive system. So it's clean water in and then it goes straight to the water treatment plant, where the other ones recirculate the water, which is what they like to see now, as far as, maintaining our resources and not just a one-time use and it flushes out to the wastewater plant. So Corvallis, I believe, is not a recirculating system. I did talk to them, and even that one cost quite a bit to maintain. And in the last few years, they've had hygiene issues there where theirs has also had to be closed. People taking baths in it, using it as a toilet, that kind of nasty stuff.
You probably have to fence it. And just open it during times when kids can be there. I don't know, my daughter lives in Fayetteville, Arkansas, and they spend a lot of time on the splash pad, which is well populated.
Yeah,
Summertime
and
there.
they have some different local laws and rules where they can run theirs a little differently than we can on the West Coast. The other interesting thing that we have here, and I also hadn't thought about, is wild animals. Also use it as a lavatory. So in the off hours, birds can fly in, and possums, skunks, all sorts of stuff is also attracted to them. So we did look at a splash pad pretty in depth over the last year.
Yeah, well, that was probably before I arrived, and I was again sort of reflecting what I saw and what I've heard from people too.
Yeah, we would absolutely love to somewhere down the road, but it would take a pretty robust, probably donation at this point.
I have to say that one of the reasons why I stuck Quarry Park on there was because I'd probably hear about Quarry Park more than anything else from people who are not runners, just average people.
So
Too.
we haven't talked for a long time about the skate park. I know when, I forget her name, used to be on the committee. Anyway. So at one time, It looks like it's fenced off, so the school district took back part of the skate park. Is that correct? Because it used to be all the way to the fence. Now they've got a fence up again.
It's still school district property.
Yeah,
So
but I mean, they wanted part of it back to use. So the skate park is limited now. I mean, it used to all go all the way back to that fence. Now, if you look down there, there's another fence.
At this point, that's up to the school.
Yeah.
The city is out of the skate park.
But we don't do anything at the skate park anymore?
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. I thought so.
Well,
Yeah, we're still.
we should
on
probably
track.
have a conversation about that.
Yeah, we're through 27.
Okay.
Sometime in 27.
Just me.
So who's gonna own the skate park?
The school district owns the property. If it stays there, they'll always own that property. The city and school will have to either renegotiate a contract or find a different place for it.
Okay.
And, yeah, the school wanted at one time to add to their yard.
Right.
Facility, so we put the fence in.
Okay, you guys did it. Yeah. I've seen
joined
that.
with the school, yeah.
And it used to, we used to adopt parks. And again, I can't think of the lady's name when she was here. She had your position. Because the Pattons adopted the skate park and we would go in there and do stuff in there. But so we don't have that anymore, adopting a park, which I thought was kind of a cool idea.
well, there was only 2 groups that actually kept that up. So people adopted, but then never followed through on the criteria to actually adopt a park. And so, which is why it didn't end up being a successful program except for with 2 parks. So
We had fun.
Well, we, as one of the items from the city was, can this group become a little more involved than just our Ivy pools? Just we adopt a park, every month. Let's go visit Ashbrook and pick up sticks and take a look at things. And, is there
That's a
room
good
for
idea.
more trees? Are
I'd-
there rooms for?
I'd be all over
Yeah.
that. When I was looking over the master plan, I saw just so much need for volunteers and pitching in more. And
Yeah.
that part was speaking to me. So I'll say personally, I'd
So when, I guess back to the city thing, what you're talking about. So when it says weeding and flower planting, so who's going to pick out the flowers for like at the Sankey Park to go around the,
well, this is
Part-
just,
like-
part of it. Like last year, we cleaned it up for Harvest Festival.
Right.
So we don't want to just clean it up for Harvest Festival. We want to, and I think what Lena had proposed is kind of what we were thinking is, each month you choose a park and you do, but it's going to have to be kind of ongoing. Staff were limited. Once the sun comes out and the grass starts growing, these guys are swamped. And so just kind of we can come up with a schedule as what, but obviously we hadn't had this discussion yet, come up with a schedule. We have our regular meetings and then we have like a work day. And then we choose an area to work in. As far as flowers go, we hadn't really talked about it. We did that. That was kind of a last minute thought to brighten up that flagpole area. So again, we'll have to have discussions. It just kind of based after we get this process done, then we can kind of delve into more of the details. So we just need to kind of come up with what the priorities are, and then we can come up with the details under those priorities once we get that established. Because what we'll have to do is come up with, once we come up with our priorities, and then they'll talk about budget once we give them our priority list. Now, as far as maintenance goes and cleanups and weeding, we don't need a budget for that. Plantings and different things like that, that will need a budget. But as far as maintenance goes, we don't need a budget for that. So that could start whenever.
We could, we could kind of try this out of, let's have one work day, and I'm just going to throw out early April. Should be flower planting time, hopefully. And we just kind of wander around Sankey, take a hard look. Are there current ivy trouble spots? I mean, those are the easy ones, but then just kind of take a look of oh, you know, in a couple weeks, we're gonna have the city out to do the Blooms and Brews Festival and Arbor Day event. Clean up the flagpole, you know, clean up the plaza, just kind of take a creative look at, well, how do we jazz this up to get ready for summer events? And then, you know, systematically go through the other parks and start thinking, you know, walk around and look at ADA access, which parks have the potential to do something a little bit more.
Maybe
trail
we should do
system.
that before the April meeting.
Before
Sure.
the April meeting?
Yeah.
What, the Ivy or
No,
what, the weeding?
the visit to the sinking.
Oh, I'm proposing kind of early April
Good.
before the Arbor Day event is
Good.
the very end of the month. So,
Excellent.
but just, you know, instead of going to a park and it's like, okay, we're gonna plant 2 trees, pull some ivy and go. Let's go. And we did this with Northside, actually. If you remember, we went out there, we walked around and we kind of came up with a priority plan. Bob had that. I still have it in my notes somewhere. But let's take a shot and do that with some others. You know, we haven't all been to Clover or Strawberry at one time. You know, and Strawberry had lots of ideas for more community gardens, fruit trees. You know, maybe trying to think the facilities there, there's play structure, equipment, but is there room for other, I'm thinking of Member Swanson's ideas on facilities, sports type.
They had talked about the natural water that's at Strawberry. They were going to possibly make a pond or something.
There are some plans in the work for Strawberry. Strawberry is going to be a big focus this year for the city. So as that gets farther along, you know, we'll make sure to communicate that so you'll all know what that is. We're just in the beginning stages. Again, going through budget season, we have to look at the budget before we can get too far into some of these projects.
Okay. But so just talking to think, you know, kind of tackling our, you know, responsibility for eyes on the park maintenance, things that we can easily do or problems that we see that we need to let Public Works know. Just spend a few hours at each park and kind of maybe kick it off, like I said, when the weather's a little better and we can start seeing the results of winter damage, if there is any. And invite friends and other people to come along. Hey, we're gonna go walk in the park and take a look. Get folks' ideas.
Just have to fill out the volunteer form.
Oh. I'll
More
keep that
paperwork.
handy.
More paperwork.
I'll take a, sure,
Cancel
put it
it.
on my phone. Well, they're in our tote too for all our organized events. We have plenty.
And if you need more, you can just come see Ryan and Ryan can get you some more copies. So any more on the brainstorming? Eventually, we're going to need to move the brainstorming over to the actual priorities, but I want to make sure we've discussed everything you want to discuss before we move that over to what our actual priority list is.
A couple of years ago, when I first came on, we were talking about a trail system that connected all the parks around the city to make a big loop around the city. Maybe a trail system to the parks that connects them all so people could hike the whole.
That is still a goal. The problem is we have private property in between them all. And so legitimately connecting them is difficult because of the private property that's in between them. There are ways to kind of get, I'm sure Scott's ran half of them. So
Along Ames Creek, because I know people that live there.
So there's a lot of areas that we would like to. It's just getting private property owners on board to let us kind of run trails through there. So that's been the biggest hurdle, is just because there's private property in between the ends of all of our trails.
Okay.
So
Pleased that it's a priority though, because that
yeah, I have that right there.
that's what you meant by that.
There's a lot to do. Some of these things they've been on to-do list for a long time.
And they will. Some of these things will be ongoing for years. But just to, what to focus on so that the city council knows what, your desire of whatever they come up with a budget, what you would want that budget to go to. And then they can kind of take a look at that and decide how they feel about putting money towards certain things. So.
Scott's discussion on trail systems and, getting people out and active. And it's complementary to ADA, not quite ADA access, but more people with limited mobility. And I have pictures somewhere that I took at a park when I was in Arizona, and I'm not sure how I describe them. I'm going to stand up. Show you. Like you're walking down your trail. Right here is a kiosk, and it has 2 bars on it. The description talks about stretching and gives you pictures on how to stretch. So it's kind of like the older time fitness trails where you stop and do chin-ups or sit-ups or, something like that. This one's a little more, I guess, accessible for people of all abilities. And I'll have to look up the company that makes these, but just think of, a 6-foot tall kiosk, and with this one, you stop and you hold on and you do leg stretches. They're just very low impact, which is good because, everybody can do that. The kids doing track practice have to stop and stretch or do something. I'm not even sure how you describe those.
I know what you're talking
You
about.
know what I'm
'Cause,
talking
yeah,
about? Yeah.
I've seen them in
Yeah.
more in olden times, but yes.
Yeah, that's how I describe them, but these were modernized.
Yeah.
So, just to let you know, Cecily is working on a grant for something similar to that would be an exercise-based
Okay.
park system, or structure. So that is currently being worked on.
And see, that's a challenge with a lot of these folks is if we can key in where Angela's going to get us to is our priorities. And if it's something like, we just discussed or something very tangible, then we can look for grants to kind of accomplish just that piece.
I can't remember the gentleman that was on our committee before for a short time, but he walked all the time. And I know we talked before about having kind of like what you're talking about. Like if you were down by the railroad tracks on 12th, there's not a park, but that little area, and then they would have like a map, keep going, up the road and, and have a little bench. So I know we've talked about that before, so that's good. Not just for jogging like Scott likes to do, running, but, walking. It's really important.
Deb had something.
Yes, I wanted to mention that at Ashbrook Park, there is some exercise things. I mean, it's a piece of exercise or piece of equipment out there that has on it what you're talking about. All the stretching and it's all,
It's been a long time since I've
Yeah.
been to Ashbrook.
I was impressed with that. I really am impressed with that.
And it's a different level of get outdoors, get active, than the trail running and the true let's hike off of it, not on a paved trail. I mean, we have to have a little of both to offer everybody.
I know.
When you look around town and you think of folks that have limited mobility, or getting folks, Wiley Creek, could bring folks out to Sankey for an afternoon outing, because we do have a paved trail system.
Well, when I was on the Ford Foundation leadership class, we put up exercise stuff in Waterloo Park. And that was a real plus, to get those type of things. And it was simple stuff, but it worked. A lot of people use it.
I also have started taking photos when I go to parks.
Me
I
too.
don't know.
Of what?
I started taking photos of
yeah.
parks when I go places. I went to Leavenworth. It was underwater at the time, about a month ago. It was wild. But anyway, in fact, some of their parks were so far underwater you couldn't even see the playground equipment.
Oh, wow.
But
That's a beautiful
there was
area.
they have a lot of money there because of the tourist traffic, which I factored in, but they had a really nice collection of exercise equipment that not exactly what you were describing, but I'd never seen anything quite like theirs.
Got pictures?
And yeah, I did take some
Good.
pictures, but anyway, if we ever get to the point where we're talking about those kinds of things, we can share our photos. But anyway, there's a lot of stuff out there that might be attractive to people if you do it right. Wait, I'm done.
No, you're good. Anything else that we want to, any other ideas? Remember, we're looking at, so fiscal year starts July 1st and then goes through June 30th of 2027. So, some of these things like the maintenance, we could start prior to that. Just the maintenance part of it, any kind of planting, we may have to wait depending on what funding is right now. So what we're looking at is what we want to see from July until June of 2027. So that's for the fiscal year.
So I have one question. I remember Mr. Larson talking just when new houses are built that there's supposed to be like a park area within so many places where people live. Is that what you're talking about?
We can't
on the
force
east-
them. We
east
can't
side?
force them to
Right.
do a park. But we encourage them when they're putting, especially there's a couple subdivisions that are going in that they're adjacent to wetlands. And so they can dedicate that as a park area. And then, there's a reduction in some fees if they do that. We haven't had enough, the one subdivision that we have proposed right now, it's 4 phases, so we may not see a park until the end phase of it. So that's kind of where that comes into play. But that is part of, we encourage people when they have large developments like that to include a park system, especially on this side of town. So
Because I think you said it had, how many people live in that area? Need to have a park.
Mhm.
Only other park I'd add on there is the Holbrook Park. So at the end of our street. No. I know there's a lot of stuff that we can't do there, and there's stuff that we can do there.
And there should be some old plans or something.
yeah, we have
Go to
we have the
boardwalks
the
and-
maintenance plan for
Yeah.
that. And these guys, they know when we can mow. There's certain times of year that you can and can't mow, and just to protect the limation. But there's been plans for a boardwalk. Again, it all is based on funding. So a boardwalk and some trails through there. So and the plan that was created years ago is still a legitimate plan.
A lot of these, we do have on plans, designs, on the books. It's just a matter of where does it rise in the priorities, and priorities get the funding.
So in some communities, you see green belts, you see, planned park type facilities that clearly have been, I'm going to say, imposed on developers. Is the fact that there's no requirement in Sweet Home just a choice of the city council, or is it, what's the difference between, say, Bend, or I'm just trying to think of a good example of a place where they have very clearly planned park development.
I'll have to
Yeah.
get back with you on that because the way our code, our land use code is, there is encouragement for a certain, like even commercial properties have to have so much landscaping. There's, it depends on the kind of development. And again, right now we don't have it to where we say you have to have a park. There's encouragement
Mhm.
for reduction in fees if they
Mhm.
do. So right now that's where we're sitting. I can't give you the details of how that path came about, unfortunately.
I
but-
didn't really expect a voluminous answer on that one in this context, but as we were talking, I was thinking of Canyon Creek, which supposedly was supposed to have a park, and then someone else bought the project and decided to use that parkland for houses
Yep.
down by the pond there.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm. That
Yeah,
was
we
a
can-
bummer.
Yeah, it's private property, so we can't, you know, and
That's the
yeah, and there is a lot of, which we run into, especially in my department. People will propose developments. They've had large, areas of wooded area for years and years and think that it's a park and then come to find out it's privately owned and whoever owns it can do whatever they want with it. So, and we have people developing now. These lands that have been vacant for years, are now being developed. And so it's been a little bit of some explanation at the counter that we've had to have. And it's like, no, it's not actually technically parkland. It's not dedicated land. It's actually private property. They just are now choosing to develop it. So, we have a lot of those discussions at the counter.
No, I understand that. And
Yeah.
I also understand that there's various philosophies on land use, and our city has always been a little bit of a hands-off. I mean, I'm kind of sticking my neck out saying that, but less than other cities, or other communities,
All right. So do we have anything else we want to put on our brainstorming list? If not, then let's start talking about what we want to put on our priority list. So we at least need maybe a top 5. I added some more, but having a top 5 would give the city council a little bit to look at. So what do we, I would hesitate to put Sankey Park Phase 3 because that's in this fiscal year, and we're hoping to have that done by the end of this fiscal year. So we all know that's a priority, but we're hoping not to have to carry that through next fiscal year. So, and the funding for that is in this fiscal year anyway. So. So we have,
Question,
go ahead.
regarding Quarry Park. So they're waiting for 24th Street to get punched through. So there's another access route. Is that
well, 24th Street utilities. So it's not just 24th Street, we have no utilities near there. And so that's
Okay, so
that's a
total
large expense for that
infrastructure.
too. So
how far
never mind?
how far are the closest utilities there? Do we know offhand? I mean, does Zacova have full service?
Yeah, Zelkova, close to the end. Water is over on Clark Mill. Sewer is pretty close to the park property. Power's right there. So it's just the cost of getting it down there.
Right. Quarter mile or whatever it is.
I can't see the blue very good.
sorry, this is the only one I knew that wouldn't
That's
bleed
okay.
through to the wall because I don't want to get in trouble for writing on the wall. So I
Okay.
had to fix. So we have Strawberry Park, we have Weddle Bridge, park maintenance, Quarry Park, splash pad. We've kind of discerned trail connectivity with possibly kiosks. North Side ADA, we kind of determined that was a little bit funding. Emerald Ash Borer, skate park, mobility access with the trail system, and then Hobart Park.
I think Emerald Ash Borer should go to the top of the list.
Huh?
Emerald Ash Borer.
Should go to the top of the list. I don't know what it all entails, but I know it's very important.
That's an easy one in terms of, the Emerald Ash Borer, the action plan, what to do,
Probably action plan, education type.
education plan, outreach. And then secondary to that is identifying our special trees, special ash trees that we want to do some preventative treatment with. I mean, that's in terms of funding, it's a bit of planning.
Okay.
And then there's the cost of treatment with insecticides. So we're, probably okay this year, probably don't need treatment this year, but we need to kind of watch this spring. If you remember, Rich
Okay.
Hill talked about kind of the migration of where it's at. It's in Marion.
Firewood.
Yeah. But, simple things like, promoting the Don't Move Firewood campaign, there's, handouts, there's some expense, but,
Mm.
it's an easy one in my mind to do.
Adam, do you have another color over there?
Thank you, Lena.
Yellow.
Oh, that'll not work.
Well, I'm just gonna make stars of the ones you guys talk about, so.
So I personally think that we need to finish something that we've started. Whatever.
Think about what been working.
Yeah, because some of these things, again, God bless what we do, but it's been a long time and things haven't got finished. And I know it's the budget and whatever, but I'd really, really, really like to see things completed.
So which?
I know.
So you have to choose
Yeah, I
one. I have
know.
to be able to
I
bring
just
something
think
tangible over.
Sankey Park will be completed, at least the phase 3. So, then, I mean, I'd love to see Sankey Park totally finished. I really would.
So I can tell you as far as funding wise, we're going to pause since we have all these other parks that need, we can still talk about Sankey Park and what we want to do for Upper Sankey Park, but I can tell you right now, as far as city priority, we want to focus on some of the other parks, since Sankey Park has gotten the main focus for many years now. So it's not going to be forgotten. It's just, there's other parks that have had plans for a
But
long time.
We talked about, a lot of stuff for Sankey Park, and I mean, again, just whatever, I just really would like to see it completely finished. So, I mean, from the bandstand to, whatever, all the things that we've talked about for a long time.
Well, that's in the works.
Yeah.
With phase 3. So really all that's left is the
Upper.
up on
Yeah.
top. So, I mean, I think we've come a long ways there.
So is the upper part still for the BMX track?
The BMX track will stay there, but there is no definite plans for that yet. So that we'll have to do a planning session for that also. So far I hear many
things.
comments about the Emerald Ash Borer. Okay, so let's just go through these. So we have Strawberry Park.
I'm supportive of want to move to a new park to focus on. I think Strawberry's got a lot of opportunities up there.
Yes.
It'd be nice if we could also have, if we could have 2 park focuses, one west side, one east side. Have limited east side parks. But, and Strawberry has had many plans in place and we've had a lot of discussions on Strawberry. So it would be, my suggestion is kind of put it up there at the top.
Number 1 or number 2?
Well, we also have Weddle Bridge.
Yeah, Riddle Bridge
If
has to
you-
be.
Yeah.
We have multiple ones. I just want to I want to get like 5 specific ones at your top 5. And then we can add some additional ones after that if miraculously we got all these 5 done, then these are some other ones to focus on. So Strawberry Park.
Yes, please.
Okay. Okay, we have Weddle Bridge.
I would put that in the top 5.
Okay. Just throwing stuff everywhere. Okay, park maintenance.
I mean, it's always a priority. I mean, there's a certain base level that has to be done.
And park maintenance, we can put on here. So what we're looking for is kind of the ones that we need financial backing for. So this one, we can put this one because this is an ongoing thing that you
Yeah.
don't necessarily need funding for. And we can put this on as something that to accomplish this year as a goal, maybe more of a goal.
So yeah, if you look at, and that's where I would put the Emerald Ash Borer action plan. I mean,
Okay.
you need a little bit of
maintenance.
funding, but it's more planning and can go under park maintenance. I mean, it's important to do. But if you look at trying to find financial backing for big projects, that's the Strawberry, that's Bridge, that's looking at a trail system.
So I'll put Emerald Ash Borer kind of under the park, like the goals. Quarry Park. And then we already talked about splash pad. We have trail connectivity and possibly some mobility
Yes,
I think that trail connectivity could be just out there as a planning consideration.
And then north side ADA access, we've kind of talked about, there's some pretty hefty hurdles for that one. We have the skate park. That could also be under the maintenance plan if we want to do that. Hobart Park and then Upper Sankey Park.
So north side, even if we financially and engineering wise, we can't tackle the AD access, we could still, it's a nice flat area, so you could still kind of go back to having some type of exercise fitness trail there. But the other thing that we talked about when we all toured that a couple years ago with Bob, it does have the racquetball court and it has the tennis court.
Right.
And so if you want to find some focused funding on sports, I'm going to call them sports facilities, the tennis court needed work and I don't use the racquetball court, but
Also basketball's there.
there's basketball. So, kind of a redesign of that. We also talked about, could it be a multi-purpose tennis and pickleball court? Because I don't think we have pickleball in town, do we?
Mm-mm. People love that.
None that are city owned.
Huh?
I looked into the tennis court, getting it revamped a little bit, and it'd be 12 to 15,000 to put in
New.
and pickleball. So adding, I think, 4 courts or something there. I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get more courts out of pickleball.
I think
Yeah.
pickleball is basically the lines.
You can use the same court, it's just
Yeah, it is.
the posts are in a
Same
different
court.
place.
Yeah, I can't remember how it lines.
Our church does that. Yeah, it's just the lines you get closer anyway. Yeah.
But see, that's more doable than, 500,000 for, an ADA ramp down to the river. I mean, small chunks that we could bite up off and accomplish some of the other goals that we wanted to do.
Okay, so do you want to do north side courts then?
Yeah,
That includes
be
all of
good.
them, racket, pickle,
that would be,
tennis, basketball.
I would like to, just to respect, the conversations we had when we took our tour out there
Yeah.
a couple years ago.
I know it's not on there, but there's so much. I mean, since we got our flyer on parks, what a blessing that's been for people. There, and then God bless Scott for all his writing he does too, but somehow we've got to get more advertising out there about what we have. We really do. And I know the city has a Facebook page, website, and all that stuff, but maybe more things that we can advertise. This is what we have. This is what we're doing, and then like you guys are doing the Brew and Bloom, that's awesome. I get more people there, like be big like the Harvest Festival someday. So that's a plus. People need things to do, especially now that Jamboree's gone and, there's just, people want stuff to do.
Right.
And also at Northside, it's come up, the floor in the racquetball court is past needing to be
Okay.
repaired, and there
Yeah.
was talk about volleyball, wall ball
And-
addition, volleyball.
Is that speaking of our former member, volleyball?
So yeah,
Something he
Canadian
played?
bathroom.
So do we want to add then north side courts as,
Yeah, the overall north side sports facilities courts. And then also throw in playground equipment out there. I do see kids playing on it and then it's old and outdated.
Yeah, and when we go to budget this year, the safety ball chips or all the playgrounds need to
Okay.
be redone.
Nice, nice.
So we noticed that the other day.
So even though we can't maybe do one huge thing that we kind of really wanted in north side, we can pick around the edges. We've got the dog park. Now, if we upgrade the court system and, enhance the playground area, that you guys fixed up the restrooms. Little.
There's a lot of
bit.
people on that side of town
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, it's always used every time we go there.
Can I get you on your mic, please?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes.
all right, so we have 5. Now let's kind of figure out what the top 5, which one do you want to put as number 1? We have Strawberry Park, Weddle Bridge, Trail System, Northside Courts and Playground, and Emerald Ash Borer.
Again, Emerald Ash Borer, I would combine it.
Oh,
with
that's right,
park
I did. I
maintenance,
actually-
And it's,
I can't even look
it's
at my own
important,
arrows.
but it's also ongoing.
Okay, so that one's part of maintenance, so we have 4, so, I mean, we don't have to have 5, so we have Strawberry Weddle, Trail System, and Northside Courts.
Well, north side is more focused, so maybe it should be the top one, just because there's specific things that could be done there. Talking about just committing funds.
Okay, do we have a consensus for that? I see
Yeah.
head bobbing, but.
That sounds good.
Yeah, I would put North Side
Direction.
and Strawberry up there.
Yeah.
Kind of 1 and 2. Because again, I believe in the small, affordable chunks that we can do to enhance it. You know, if we can't do it all at once.
The other thing too, speaking or going along with what Nancy was talking about, is if you actually get something completed, that gets attention.
What?
You know, if you put a new floor in on the,
Attention.
you know, the racquetball court, that gets people's attention. Oh, you know. Get
And then
something
you
down
want-
there. Yeah.
You want Strawberry also?
So, you know, accomplishing things helps.
Accomplishing things, and this is something else that Nancy, you're great at, is like, even if it's just putting the new chip material under all our playground equipment, we make a big splash about that. Hey, meet the Park and Tree Committee out at Sankey. We're gonna christen the new padding. I mean, and so, no, seriously,
Yeah.
but it sounds silly, but when you're making a big splash about, hey, we're continually doing maintenance.
It's good. People like that.
People listen and, oh, we're gonna come out and bring our kids and
And then
so.
you guys chip up the
Rehab
wood that you cut down, right?
Right.
Is that where you get the chips? No?
No, that's an engineered chip.
Is it rubber?
No, we can't afford rubber. I
Oh.
wish.
Mhm.
So it's still wood.
It's wood. It's, what? Yeah, it's sanded, so it doesn't have, it's not. supposed to
There's
have
no
any sharp-
splinters.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know Travis Smith, I get him to donate to Tyson School and then the charter school. Whenever he cuts down trees, he
Mhm.
Yeah.
and dumps it out there for them. So that's big
Yeah.
chunks.
But for playgrounds, when
Yeah.
you think of kids falling, you can't get splinters and,
Yeah.
and it
That's where
gives some
Yeah.
resistance. It's not like falling on hard packed earth, so.
Okay, so the last 2 we have starred is the trail connectivity with some of the mobility and then Weddle Bridge. So,
Weddle Bridge, I would say, I mean, we need
Yeah.
to fix our bridge.
I concur.
I'm just gonna put maintenance and EAB down here. 'Cause that's a goal, but not necessarily needing funding.
So, maybe, Mr. Hagee, maybe you can't answer it, but so when you guys, when we give this to you, how do you figure out how much money you can give? I mean, if you can't say it, you can just say, we don't know. I can't answer.
Yeah, I'm not
that.
very familiar at this point with what we do there, but
But-
probably
Go.
year after year, you know, what's been used, what it's been put toward to kind of base that. I know last year with the Weddle Bridge, there's a chunk that was set aside for that. So,
It also has to go through budget and finance before it goes to city council. So once the recommendations are made, it goes to budget and finance committee. They meet so many times and then they recommend to city council. So it has multiple stages before it even gets to them. So
Yes.
And then the final approval is May, June, somewhere in there to know what the
we
budget is.
just set the meetings, I think they start in April, don't they?
Okay.
Uh-huh.
And we still have one position for the budget committee too. So if you'd like to see what that looks like, we have an application open for budget committee.
Is there anything else we want to
Gonna apply
put
for
on?
you.
I mean, the city council reads our minutes, so they'll see all of our discussions. So they'll see all the discussion, but we want to make sure to give them a priority list. So do we want anything else on our priority list for funding purposes?
Microphone, please.
You're so relaxed.
I'd like to see us keep Quarry Park up there. I know there's a lot of funding and other issues, but it is a gem if we could ever develop it.
Well, can it be like the others where we just pick away, like have a plan and pick away in little pieces? Then at least there's forward progress.
Well, and although,
mix
and
it
this,
in.
yeah, so Melanie, just, we have this on the priority list. That doesn't mean that's necessarily what's going to be chosen, but it's just a recommendation to the council. And this is one, you know, just like that will be an ongoing thing probably for a long time. But yes, having it on there is just a good reminder that we don't want to forget about it.
It keeps it out and
Mhm. Yep.
out in their viewpoint or the horizon or whatever.
Is there stuff that we can do to quarry without needing the facilities, the power, the water, sewer? I mean, Strawberry doesn't have any power or water.
There are
Or it
some,
has water.
there are some plans in place, but we're not ready to kind of, we're still working on them, some things that we might be able to do without all of that infrastructure. So we haven't gotten to the point to finalize it, to discuss it yet, but there are some things that what may be coming this year that we might be able to do. So
I mean, right now, would you describe it as kind of more of a primitive park, you know,
It
you're,
is.
you know, you're just, you can go and you can walk and you can fish and, you
people
know,
kayak down there.
pack it in, pack it out, you know, it's an undeveloped.
So people don't camp there anymore.
No,
Sankey Park upper level. You know, just to remind ourselves that, you know, there's still more we can do there, but you bring new excitement to the town if you kind of tackle some of the other parks.
Kids want the BMX track expanded.
of,
The restoration project that's going on.
yeah, we're going to talk about that when I'm done.
Okay, because there's
Yeah,
possibility of potential trails.
yeah, that's on my
Can you
list.
speak a little louder, young man?
We're just,
No, you
there's a topic that we're going to talk about here. As soon as we get this done,
Okay.
we'll talk about another part of it that we're going to do. So
Okay.
So the only things that we haven't touched on are what, splash pad?
I kind of took that off the table just
Okay,
because of the
because we've
hurdle,
got so
and
many.
same thing with the engineering and riparian at
Okay.
Northside. I kind of, it's on there as a discussion, but
So the other thing I think we should put up there is an East Side Park. You know, whether that's, is Hobart kind of considered East Side?
No,
Really, is it?
you can't play there.
Yeah, yeah, okay. And
Unless
I
you're
don't know what an East
hiker.
Side Park looks like, but
Where is it?
Is that east side?
No, east side.
There needs to be.
so there is a proposal for the park over here someday, but
yeah,
It just needs to
Larry's-
be some sort of centrally located
yeah.
place for kids who live way over
Right.
on this end of town to
Yeah.
go,
Is this considered East Side?
other than Foster School.
Or we
it's kind of
central?
central, actually.
I just think of
Mhm.
this as central.
Yeah.
So you're thinking over by, did you say Foster?
No, I said
Oh,
other than Foster School.
other than school. Okay.
Climb over the fence and play on the playground.
So maybe we don't know where or what it looks like, but I think,
There are some developments on the east side that we've had discussions that they've said
yeah.
they're open to the idea of adding a park. It's just, I don't know when they're going to
Timing.
develop. Yeah, it's a timing thing because
And
it's up to them when they have the money and when they want to develop it. There are two developments that have said that they would desire, that they would possibly want to put a park in.
And that's good because I know kind of an East Side Park did fit into our master plan.
Mhm.
So it's there. So if the opportunity comes up with a developer, we can capitalize on that because we've already designated that in our master parks plan. Am I correct?
Yes,
So you're talking basically a collaboration between the city and a developer.
correct.
Gotcha.
And it's, you know, and part of it is when the developer, we have a discussion with them, it's up to them whether they maintain the park or they dedicate it to us. So that's the other piece of it. They dedicate it to us. We have to make sure that we have the facilities to be able to maintain it. So you know, we're not to that point on any of the two developments I can specifically think of. They're not to that point yet. So when we get to that point, that's when we have those discussions.
What shut down 42nd and Osage? Why is that park on permanent hold?
Funding.
Okay.
So those
So-
people down there don't complain anymore?
Not to me.
Yeah, we haven't heard anything for a while, knock on wood.
All right. Are we all satisfied with our lists for now?
It looks pretty thorough.
Yeah, it does look good.
Okay, then I will make sure to get this. Again, like I said, all these conversations and all of our lists will go in the minutes. And I submit those minutes to the council so they'll see them. And then we'll make sure to get our priority list over to them. So
So at our next meeting, can you kind of formalize, you know, bring us
Mhm.
a copy of our priority list and it's just something to keep it front and center
Yep.
for
Take a
us?
picture.
I should go take a picture. Yeah.
Take pictures. of-
no, I'll have it.
Yeah.
I'll make sure that it's typed up.
Keep us.
So,
Okay.
all right.
Nice.
Well, thank you guys. Okay, so let's, we're running out of time, so let's really quick.
Okay.
Let's back up. So
Start paying us overtime.
we have a tree planting, well, not tree planting. It's he left.
He's gone.
It was his email. But you probably know about it too. So the project that we're doing with the Watershed Council on the other side of Ames Creek, near the Boys and Girls Club, they are going to do a planting. Hold on, it's in my notes. February 5th, and if they need more, the 6th. They could really use help getting the plants in the ground. And do you have more info? I don't have times or anything.
What kind of planting? Did you say tree?
So it's that project that we're
Okay.
doing, it's the restoration project that we're doing for the DEQ water quality project. So, sorry, that wasn't articulated very well.
Are they planting, because it's still plastic covered out there. Are they gonna just cut
I-
holes and plant through it?
I believe the planting is going to be the native shrubbery more along the edges.
Along the
Like
edges.
the banks where the
Okay.
plastic is not currently at.
Okay.
Yeah. And from the email that I got, there's quite a few. And so they could really use some assistance with that planting.
Okay.
As soon as we find out times,
Mhm.
I can pass that on. I just have the dates. Dominic, do you have times for that planting yet? Just the 5th and 6th?
Yeah, can you keep us posted? Because that would be fun
Mhm.
to do. Sorry.
Fun.
I like doing that stuff, but,
Yeah.
you know, but it's, you know, something we could, hey, you want to come out and plant some shrubs, you know, another kind
I
of.
would imagine probably 9 o'clock. I think it's when
Yeah.
Pyro starts.
Okay.
But you'll let us know for sure.
Yeah,
It's
but it,
2,500 bushes, shrubs.
what?
25. So can the
Not so much fun.
beautification committee help us?
If they want to.
It's a lot
yeah.
of fun.
And if you can find more volunteers, I mean, the more
Yeah.
the more the merrier, because as you heard, I knew it was a high number, but
That's
I
a
couldn't
lot.
remember what it was.
Did
but-
you hear that?
He does
Catherine?
have
I wonder
one
if-
class,
Mhm.
21 kids or something that
Okay.
are coming for an hour or whatever.
Yeah,
Mhm.
all righty.
So that's a
Is that
Thursday and
Brown's
Friday.
class? Zach's
I-
class?
I don't
Oh,
know.
okay.
I think it might be the ag class.
Okay. Yeah, the forestry kids might be, or he might be
Okay.
interested too. Zach Brown.
Yeah, I don't know if Tyrell from the Watershed Council reached out.
Hmm.
They know somebody at the school. I don't know who.
Yeah, so that would be a good opportunity to be a part of that project. I mean, it's not a Park and Tree Committee guided project, but it is still a city project, partnering with the Watershed Council. So, and that one's for specifically, you know, water quality and bank stabilization and
So do you guys provide the shovels and all that stuff? Or do we bring our own? For 2,500 plants?
It's gonna be a BYOS.
A what?
Our own shovel.
Oh.
So
Okay.
from what he explained to me, because I was a little worried about this many plants,
Yeah,
it's basically like a clam shovel or
yeah, it's a
Oh.
narrow.
you just.
potato shovel, and you stick it in and wedge the ground open.
Yeah.
And it's bare root. You drop it in and go.
Yeah.
I have one.
We don't have to fuss as much as we do with our expensive trees. in the parks.
It's great for removing flooring.
Yeah.
Yeah, so as we get more information, I'll make sure to pass that on to you. So,
Definitely do that. Okay.
but that is one that we want to, it'll happen before the next meeting, so I wanted to make sure that we fit that in really quick before we run out of time, so.
Great. Anything else on that? We'll move on to roundtable.
Well, Angela, I sent her pictures, but she said Adam will. So we went to Tyson's game in Staten. Anyway, we went the back road. I didn't even know that the bridge was there, but I sent them to Angela and she sent them to Adam. So I just wanted you guys to see, so if they can email them to you. I know I'm not supposed to do that. What they did to that bridge, unbelievable. And I don't know who their engineer is. I have no information. We just went across it and I thought, wow, this is awesome.
That's a different style bridge, so we probably would not be able to do what they did. That, and if we get the historic designation, that will also determine what we can do. But we can, as we get further into the process, we can look a little bit more into that, so.
It's just neat. I just didn't know who, like, their engineer and all that stuff was. I don't-
So I reached out to Lincoln County yesterday. They have 4 covered bridges that they have all restored in the last 30 years. The difference is all of their bridges are still operational for vehicle use. So they have ODOT help, where ours is not a vehicle bridge, so we don't get that ODOT help. The other difference is not all, but most of the bridges that are still currently in use are a modern bridge underneath that just have more or less a facade on the outside to look like an old covered bridge. If we were to do something like that, we would lose our historic designation, because it's no longer an old covered bridge. It's a new bridge that looks old. So I did reach out to Lincoln County. I also reached out to Lynn County, and all of the bridges they have, ours is a Howe truss system, which is one of like 2 left. And that's where we're running into trouble finding the engineering for it. The top is under load, and then the side stringers are actually under tension. So we can't just fix the floor. You actually start at the top. Everything is supported by the roof down. And there are very, very few people that still specialize in those. And then the fine line that we have to walk is maintaining enough of its originality, or else we're going to lose the possibility of it being designated a historic site. So there's pros and cons both ways.
And the purpose for doing the historic, because we don't qualify for the ODOT funding, the purpose for trying to get the historic designation is because that opens us up to other funding that we wouldn't get because it's no longer a transportation bridge.
That's
So,
good. Appreciate
We're
you looking
hoping.
into that. That's good.
Yeah, there's a lot of challenges with Weddle.
Yeah.
We're trying our hardest to figure something out there, but it is challenging.
And just a note, we were approved for Tree City USA. This is our 39th year.
Yay.
Good.
good.
Next year will be 40 years. So,
Yeah, we'll do
you know,
something
and
big for
I appreciate Lena helping me with some of the other verbiage we're looking at possibly we haven't done a growth award for quite a few years. I kind of forget that there's a second half to it that we can apply for, and I just happened to be looking through it this year and went, oh yeah, I forget about this. So we're gonna try to look and see if we can get the growth award this year also. And I'll just keep you guys informed, but that's pretty impressive that I think Tree City USA, I think I looked it up and they've been around for 50 years. So we've had Tree City USA for 39 of those. So
It's good.
So yeah, so keep track of all your time and all your activities. So,
A quick question. The 42nd and Osage, if the budget committee this year was to find money, is that what needs to happen to get that project?
no, not necessarily, because you have to look at the other project priorities and what lands higher on the list. That's like Strawberry Park isn't already large. That's just a smaller, just little neighborhood park. So it's also looking at the benefit for all, not just singular. So I don't specifically know. That's just, I'm not in all the meetings that talk about all the priorities, but that one got put on hold for the time being because they're really, the other part of 42nd and Osage is we can't just put playground equipment in there. There has to be parking, there has to be utilities. We have no utilities going in for that. So there will have to be a bathroom. So we will need utilities for that. We will have to have ADA access, and there also has to be parking. There's no parking there. It's neighborhood. So it's not just the playground equipment. There's the whole rest of it. The biggest challenge for any of these is the actual infrastructure, not the playground equipment itself.
Did
So-
you guys say originally too, those trees are cut down for fire, not for firewood, but
There's a fire break. Yeah.
yeah. I remember that too.
So it's not that we don't want things there. It's a lot of it is because it's on the city to construct that infrastructure.
Yeah, there's not a new development to partner with or anything there. And Strawberry probably does serve more people.
Yes, and
With
there's
the
already a plan for
location.
that. There has
Yeah.
already been a plan and there has already been neighborhood feedback for that. Actually, I was on the Park and Tree Committee. I was not working for the city at the time when we did that. So, and oddly enough, I just moved and I found my notebook that had all of the notes in it from back then. I was laughing. I can't even believe I still had it.
We
So,
also have grant applications
Mhm.
out for Strawberry
Mhm.
currently.
yes.
So that one has a higher chance of getting some love sooner.
One other quick question for this group. So at our Arbor Day event, last year, I brought in, plants for giveaways. The beautification committee did that. Is that something you all still want to do? I don't want to compete.
No, you can
With
do that. It's like, we're
vendors?
just trying to keep it within that theme.
Okay.
And just make sure that it,
Mhm.
and like I said, we're still working through the logistics of it, but we
Okay.
want to make sure that we're kind of keeping in, the plant giveaways are perfect. That's part of it. And
Okay.
that's something we want to keep the initial Arbor Day activities that we do, keep those the same. And then we'll just be adding on to it.
So how'd you guys come up with local beer and wine? Why not, huh?
I don't know where the whole idea came from, but
Looking at other local events, that's what brings in people. If we want to do something and have a chance at success, we're trying to replicate what has worked elsewhere, but make it our own. And this has a proven track record. So with losing the Jamboree, this isn't going to replace that, but it could be a stopgap. It's something in the spring that we
Yep.
don't currently have anything in that time frame. So anything that we can do to bring people here, get people excited, and have a chance to grow going forward. So we looked at other communities and other events, and like I said, we're taking a model that has proven to work and making it ours.
That's good.
And it also coincides with Earth Day and Arbor Day, and so it kind of ties all those in together, and so we celebrate it all at the same time. So
Many, many, many years ago, we did, I want to say it was called Bees and Trees. It was at the Boys and Girls Club. It was kind of a late winter type of same thing. It was indoors because it was still winter, but it was kind of, yeah, moving outdoors into our park and kicking off, the summer season. I think it's been fun. It's been great in the past and our weather's cooperated and we brought a lot of people in, so.
yeah, we don't have our weather predictor anymore, so we might have to email him once in a while.
Take over weather prediction. All right. It's 10 o'clock. Any other items before the group? All right. Well,
Please.
we will close this meeting, and if you would like to join in with tree planting, we'll start at Sankey and move to Northside.
They're going, oh, goody.
Bundle up. Okay.
Bang your
Thank
thing.
you. And I'll bring my sign-in sheet. Thank
There
you.
go.
Yeah, I like that.